Coming up on Plane Crazy Down Under, we have an exclusive as Bas Scheffers from Australian EFB company OzRunways joins us with some big news about their future direction.
Making what we already have better, modernized, more efficient, easier to work with has been a big part of our development cycle, and we're going to keep that up. And some of these things will be made better with our new parent companies.
It's a story of perseverance, determination and success as we get plane crazy.
Well, hi everybody and welcome back to the show. It's a bit of a special episode. I'm Steve Vischer and Grant McHerron. Looking forward to this one.
I know, right? This is a person that we've hung out with a number of times. He's been part of the team in the past. He's come on as a guest host, and he's been with us almost since the start.
Yeah, and when he's not doing podcast and media projects for us, he's got another little business, of course. So, Bas Scheffers, welcome to the show. It's been a while since we've had you on. In fact, I don't know, I think probably the last time we saw you in person might have been at Avalon last year.
Yeah, when we were wondering what you were doing on that certain chalet stand of a multinational.
Hang on. Bas always likes to hang around with the multinationals of all types. So why this one specifically?
I know. Well, we've been good friends for a long time, and I think you can say they put a ring on it.
Ooh. Are we playing that song, are we?
You can if you want. No, it's, OzRunways is now a Boeing company since a few weeks.
So that should be a way of confirming some rumors that have been going around, but, it's not actually been very widely circulated, this news. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, it's been a long road to get here after we decided to explore this. We kept it mostly to ourselves for a variety of reasons, of course. But just before we recording this, we sent out the press release and let everyone know what's going on, that OzRunways is now a Boeing company and we're part of the ForeFlight family.
Well, congratulations, mate. I know, and I mean, you've been a long time supporter. As you say, we've known each other a long time, and I know that you've been working towards some sort of goal like this for a long time. But before we go into what that means for OzRunways and ForeFlight working together and all that sort of stuff, let's go back. I can think back to the days when iPads first came in, and you started OzRunways. I guess it was a bit of a hobby project with a few partners. And there was much skepticism around at the time, as I recall, about the concept of taking something like an iPad into the cockpit. I mean, what if it goes flat? What if this? What if that? But we go forward in time now, and it's accepted technology in the cockpit now, and OzRunways has just developed along with that progression.
Yeah, it's absolutely ubiquitous now. Hardly anyone uses paper anymore. Hardly anyone uses dedicated systems that were designed for this kind of use anymore. And, we started this company 13 years ago now, or actually we started 14 years ago now, but we've been on the market for 13 years. And like you said, I've said this to people, ask me, like, how do you come up with this? And the answer is still the same. If you're a pilot and you're a computer programmer and you see the iPad, you just know what it needs to be used for. And I think a lot of people recognize that all over the globe. And a few of us did it, and all of them little startups. This was not something that was, picked up immediately by the big boys. And we went and rolled with it and made something that we wanted to use ourselves. And turned out that lots of other people wanted to use it as well.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. It's like you've got an itch, you want to scratch it. You have now produced something, and then you start getting feedback from lots of other people who have similar but different itches, and they start dragging you in different directions. How did you manage to control? You've got all these voices asking for things. How did you ever juggle that whole list of, hey, we could do this or we could do that?
I think it's important for us that we've always done our own thing. So often you hear like, because someone else had the feature first or had something in the app first and, you copied that. It's like, not really. I mean, I don't think we've ever copied anything from everyone else, and I don't think anyone ever copied anything from us. A lot of the things that are in there are just natural progressions and we all had different timelines of doing it ourselves. And to go back to the main story is a really good example of that is that when I first went to Oshkosh way back in 2011 when we just started, I actually walked up to the ForeFlight booth, and the first person I met there was Tyson, who was Tyson Weiss, who's the co-founder and CEO. And they were just a little company. They were already bigger than us, obviously, simply because of the market they were in. But he said, "Oh, yeah, OzRunways, I know you guys. I think what you're doing is great. Like, everyone's just copying us, and you're just doing your own thing. And I really respect that." And that's how we met. And based on that, we've built a good relationship and a good rapport. It helped that we were never in the same markets. We were never competitors. They stayed mostly in North America and later in Europe. We had a stint in Europe as well, early days, but they weren't at the time. And of course, until recently, they were not in Australia, New Zealand, Asia Pacific. We had a great relationship, and this what's happened now has been discussed over the years, and the timing just wasn't right for either of us at the time. And we started talking again a couple of years ago. Of course, lots changed since then because ForeFlight became a Boeing company some years earlier. So we had to now go through a bigger process with a bigger acquirer, so to speak. But yeah, there was certainly interest from Boeing. And here we are, a little bit later than we'd hoped. But we got it over the line, and we're very proud and glad and excited to be part of that. There's a lot of people there, not just Tyson, who's retired by now, so I won't be working with him much anymore. But a lot of the people, both senior and others that I've met over the years that I know and have dealt with and have a lot of respect for what they do. They're very professional. So I'm just really excited to be part of that.
It's an interesting part of your strategy right from the start, because I think a lot of people, probably myself included at the time, thought, wow, they've got this product, it's set up for the Australian region, you've expanded to New Zealand, and it seemed like going into the US market would have been a logical progression for OzRunways. But as you say, that's something that you've never really done. You've stuck to the local market and developed a unique product here, and that's something that's now being adopted.
Yeah. I think it kind of happened to most of the people, including ForeFlight themselves, that started electronic flight bags. You make something for yourself, so you naturally make it for your region. And by the time you're big enough, because we were just organically grown, there wasn't a heap of investor money. Not for us, not for ForeFlight. We're bootstrapped. By the time you're big enough and say, hey, maybe we should go into other markets, others' local products have already filled that niche. And it's really hard to get into. And that's why you haven't seen too many of these products really go into new markets unless there's an angle where this works in a specific niche that hadn't been provided yet. And the US itself, it's a unique market. You can go, it's massive. If I only get 2% of that, it's as big as my 80% market share in Australia. And yeah, good luck getting that 2%.
Yeah. It's also a very competitive market.
It's still going to be, it works the same everywhere. You've got a few large products and a few smaller ones, and that's it. There's no room. So we consciously decided to leave that one alone and go into markets that were underserved. So for instance, New Zealand, an obvious one, but we're also doing really well in Latin America, which, being in Australia, you don't hear much about that we do this, but we're probably of this kind, we're the largest provider by far, even though there's still a lot of growth to do in that market.
Is that like the Chilean world and things like that, as well as
Brazil, Argentina? Yeah, Brazil is probably our biggest one there. A lot of general aviation going on there. And I think that also when we did that, we took it quite seriously, and we're probably the only one that's actually in both Portuguese and Spanish, which makes a massive difference in that market.
I do remember you some years ago bouncing some Spanish past me, and I'm like, oh, I know what you're doing.
Yep, I certainly did that. We had, I think in the early days, we had some non-aviation people starting with translations for us until we found aviation people to do it for us. But yeah, I did bounce it off you because you have a bit of experience in that.
Well, come on then, Bas. You should expand to Europe. I mean, do we have a Dutch language version? I mean, I would think that would just be a no-brainer with you.
So maybe.
That's the bit he can't tell us about.
we did, like I said, in the early days, go into Europe, and some of our stuff is still translated, but it's something to look again in future.
But isn't Sky Demons primarily UK? But is it also doing Europe?
Yeah, Sky Demon is big in Europe. Sky Demon is a bit unique. They do one thing very well, and that's VFR and depicting and making sense of the very complex European airspace. And they dominate there. The gap that ForeFlight filled there is the IFR part. I think before ForeFlight came along in Europe, and this is what I said before, unless you have a specific niche. And ForeFlight couldn't do this before they were part of Boeing and had Jeppesen, because before they came around, what you did in Europe was you would go to something like Rocket Routes and make your plan and file it, because IFR planning in Europe is very, very hard. So many rules of what to plan when. So you got specialists for that. Then you would go somewhere else to get your weather briefings. And you'd end up flying in your airplane, probably using Jeppesen flight deck with Jeppesen charts. And ForeFlight was the first product that really integrated all of that in Europe, filling that niche, and they're doing really well in that IFR business aviation segment.
Were you doing stuff in South Africa at one point?
We are, and we are still. It's, again, an interesting market. Its uptake isn't very high, not for anyone, I think. So again, that's partly because data is scarce as well. So that also means that if there's no data, there's not much plan to do, and you just go. So why do you need a complex product with a subscription, right? Yeah. But that's another one, to look at in future again.
I suppose being involved with a larger organisation such as ForeFlight gives you much better scope to do that, much better marketing juice, for want of a better term.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities there for sure. I think when you look at ForeFlight and OzRunways, they are very different design products. So to skip ahead, both products are going to be around. There's no plan. Okay, now we've bought these customers and we're just going to get them all on ForeFlight and be done with it. That's absolutely not the plan. That's something people are always afraid of when these kind of acquisitions happen. And really couldn't be farther from the truth. We are essentially now, ForeFlight Australia office where the team works on OzRunways, and we're going to keep doing that. But at the same time, aviation data is aviation data. So obviously there's a real opportunity to just work together on those things. ForeFlight has is going to be a great product for Australia. Focused on that business aviation, what they've always done primarily. There's still a lot to do, I think. They can learn from us, the things we've already done, expertise we have. And at the same time, there's a lot of expertise they have that we can use. And already there's lots of conversations going on Slack between the different teams in different parts of the world about wow, how did you solve this? Hey, what have you got for that? So it's going to be really exciting. So
just to reiterate, OzRunways will remain as a standalone product, though?
Absolutely, yeah. No plans to change that at all.
Do you think that working with ForeFlight /Jeppesen /Boeing will give more clout to your dealings with CASA, Air Services, Defence, and so on?
Well, the first two, CASA and Air Services, we always had a very good relationship with. And we're still, OzRunways Pty Limited with our own contracts for data and our own Part 175 approval. And that's probably also not going to change anytime soon. But that said, we're all getting the same data from these people and the same data to these people. Like when you talk to Defense, obviously it's much easier or much more efficient to do that once and to combine those data teams and get better data to everyone. We have a lot of self-sourced Australian information that is in OzRunways, but isn't in ForeFlight yet. Where, on the other hand, Jeppesen has a wealth of data that will likely become available to us, making our jobs easier and also making new features that work with this data more easy to implement.
I suppose that's the challenge too. I mean, it's developed to a certain point now. I mean, all of these platforms have, I guess, not just your own. I mean, how much further can we push this? I often wonder that. Like, if we got to the point where everything that a pilot could possibly think of to use in an application such as this has been developed now, do we just put extra polish on the features that we've got, or what new opportunities come along?
Yeah, there's definitely a few more niche things that people are still wanting. Our customers have been asking for. But you're right. I mean, they're very mature products. And I think for the last few years, well, I know that at OzRunways, we've certainly been not racing for new features, but going back, hey, we did develop this 10 years ago. We can do better now. So making what we already have better, modernized, more efficient, better looking, easier to work with has been a big part of our development cycle in the last few years. And we're going to keep that up. And some of these things will probably be made better with technologies we can use from our new parent companies.
And potentially, an Apple Vision Pro or two, like your own F-35 visor as you're flying.
Yeah, that's interesting technology. That's probably a whole other podcast. But I think we're going to have to wait before this is really accepted to the proper see-through.
Yeah.
So glasses you see through even when the electronics stop working. I think that's what we're going to need. But the opportunities for such a virtual reality or augmented reality system are just incredible, and the prices keep coming down. If you can go back a few years and people started introducing some aviation solutions, and they were just horrendously expensive, and because they were very customized, and no one was making anything like it in the I was going to say civilian, but in the consumer space for people to use at home. And now, if the next generation of something as powerful as the Apple Vision comes out with those proper see-through that makes it safe to use in such an environment, wow, it's going to be incredible. And just like the iPad is a low-cost device where you can do this with, you can do that with off-the-shelf hardware. So yeah, we're definitely investigating that. And we don't want to end up like the company that's missed the new technology. And we've got a lot of smart people in our own company, a lot of smart people within ForeFlight that are constantly doing research on this.
Bas, without going into specifics about contracts and all that sort of stuff, I'm interested to know about the acquisition process and the path that went along, and particularly with regard to some of the regulatory agencies around. There would have been not only aviation-wise, I imagine, but also ACCC, I suppose, and other government financial authorities like that. You must have learned a lot through that process.
I certainly did. It was an interesting process. I think, the acquisition, like I said, we started talking quite a while ago about this again with ForeFlight, and it just kept being deeper and deeper involved into it. And then, eventually, an offer comes and you accept it. And then you go to the next phase where, due diligence, where, you exchange all of information about the companies and they know what they're buying. And then the final stage, of course, is this regulatory improvement. And we did have to work with that. I think especially, Boeing being a very large company is quite careful when it comes to these matters. They just don't want to make any missteps, and that's totally understandable. So the process took a little longer than we originally anticipated, but we did go through ACCC and Foreign Investment Review Board, and none of them found any objections to this. And I think that's fair. I don't think there is a massive change in the competitive landscape in Australia. Technically, ForeFlight was here already, but only just a startup in Australia. And there are other, homegrown products that are doing quite well, and I don't think that's going to change. So I'm glad they saw it that way and greenlit this acquisition.
So you threw the FIRB, whew, that would have been hard, the ACCC, yay, all through all those. But let's cut back to the real question that I know everyone's hanging out to know, and that is Echo Foxtrot Bravo, the registration of all registrations. It's originally on an SR20. It's leveled up to an SR22. Is the company now going to level it up to something bigger? Come on, we want to know.
Not in the immediate future. It's a great plane, yeah.
That's a great political answer.
I've flown a lot in Cirri. I can understand why. They are pretty cool, but, turbo?
Yeah, turbo,
Turbine, rather. Yeah.
We don't have mountains. Turbine, yeah, we're more interested than turbo. We don't have just some of the mountains to climb over in Australia that you need a turbo Cirrus, I think. No, the Cirrus fits our mission really well. It's a few hours to anywhere that we want to go with enough people, and it's easily flyable by a lot of our staff. And we're just going to keep it.
As we've talked about the journey and we've talked about the way forward for your product and also for ForeFlight, as you say, this has been a 13-year journey, and we are in tight times around the world financially. But what does this say to you about the spirit of entrepreneurship? It's still doable, isn't it? It's even in tough times.
Absolutely. The thing is, you have to have a unique product. Not everyone will succeed, but you give it a go, and you do your best. And if you've got the expertise and the skill, you can definitely make it. And speaking of entrepreneurship and that spirit, I think that one thing I've always said, there are only a few electronic flight bags, integrated electronic flight bag products for general aviation around the world. And it says a lot about our entrepreneurship here and the aviation industry here that 2 of those top 5 are Australian products. I don't wish my competitors any ill. They make a product that is clearly popular, and there aren't many like it in the world. And, ForeFlight, I'd say, number 1, clearly by numbers. And there's a few other Sky Demon, great product that was made in Europe for Europe, and we got ourselves and our Australian competitor. And there's one owned by another large avionics maker that's not as advanced as some of what we're doing and what ForeFlight's doing. It's not a bad product. People like it, depending on where in the world they are. But that's it. And like I said, 2 of those are Australian. It's a really good story.
Well, Bas, it's now, of course, we've had an inkling of this and we've sort of talked around about it for a little bit of time. We've kept this all under wraps, but you guys
are good friends, and I've definitely bounced ideas off you in the past, and I'm glad to be here. You guys being the first people I'm talking about it to.
Well, it's a privilege, mate, and we're just so happy for you. So to you and to Rowan and all the team there at OzRunways, congratulations. I'm sure you're going to enjoy your success, and really looking forward to seeing what goes on between you and ForeFlight going on into the future.
Thank you very much, and I'll keep you posted.
There's more to a career in the Australian Defence Force than you might think. You can gain professional, trade and tertiary qualifications, have different jobs in the one career, and access training for new roles.
Take a closer look at how we invest in your career at adfcareers.gov.au.
Imagine if you were very sick, feeling so bad you could hardly get out of bed. But you had to get up and drive 600 kilometres to hospital for treatment. Then 600 kilometres home again, every bump in the road like a hammer blow. You'd be eternally grateful for Angel Flight. With Angel Flight, hundreds of needy, seriously ill Australians don't have to spend painful days on the road. Angel Flight pilots fly them there, free of charge, turning miles into minutes. So please, support the work of Angel Flight, or get involved as a volunteer pilot or driver. Details are on the website at angelflight.org.au and help bring blessed relief to people who so desperately need some.
Look, let's be honest, sir, we've all got to eat. That we do, Kevin. Food is such a big part of life, isn't it? And talking about food can lead us to all sorts of places and all sorts of people.
Yep. And every week on the Food Bites podcast, we catch up with someone who might be a TV celebrity, a high-profile sports star, a politician, could be anyone.
Yeah.
And we talk to them about food, their kitchen skills, or, sometimes lack of, life and love.
And Kevin, every week there's the Friday food poll.
Oh, yes. Now, that is Food Bites with Sarah Patterson and me, Kevin Hillier. You can find us wherever you find your favourite podcast. And, of course, every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock on the Ace Radio Network.
And welcome back, folks. And I should point out there too, if you're wondering about the adverts that you've been hearing on this new series of the show, Grant, these are not people that are paying to be on the show. These are people that we think really need to be supported. And here at PCDU, we're more than happy to do that.
That's right, mate. We've got fellow podcasters. We've got some good causes and organisations, such as Soldier On, such as the Defence Force Recruiting, and people like Angel Flight, all that kind of stuff. We're wanting to help promote, so we drop some adverts in. It's a bit of fun. Go out there and help them. If you think you've got a few spare shekels, go and donate to organisations like Angel Flight. If you're looking for podcasts to listen to, have a listen to some of the ones we've promoted. We're trying to grow the pie here, folks, and we're not looking for money or anything. We're just trying to help promote people and organisations we appreciate.
Well, now, of course, Grant, if you want to give us money, that's perfectly fine.
Well, that's a whole different thing, and we will introduce this as this is a paid sponsor, and we're very happy for their money because it's bought Grant more beer and Steve more coffee. I mean, that's exactly got to be good.
Say, Grant, I wonder if Boeing need a podcast. If they're buying out OzRunways, maybe they could, look at a great podcast operation like ours. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I know,
right? Because we're world famous in Australia.
That's exactly right. Anyhow, congratulations to the entire team at OzRunways. And that, as Baz mentioned, they're a 13-year endeavour, but there's been a lot of people that have come in and out of that company over the time. We've all pitched in. You and I have helped on a consulting basis there occasionally, I guess, and given them a little bit of information where they've needed it, given them a little bit of help. We've done some audio processing for them.
Hey, I've even taken a few of them for a fly in a hot air balloon, and they survived.
Chalked it up as another win for ballooning, but
win for the Runways team. We went flying with McCarran, and we didn't die.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And I was over in their office a year or so back now, and their new office there in Adelaide, and it's a really good operation there. They've got a lot of people working for them now, and I'm just really impressed with the concept. As I mentioned to Baz there about entrepreneurship, and someone starting there as a little hobby business, something they were really passionate about. And anyone would know in the aviation game too, if you've been out to any air show or any aviation event, the guys from OzRunways might not always be Baz, but it's someone from the team is always out there plugging the product, but also there to help customers with customer support, all that sort of stuff, and really just promoting what they do. And I think for a company like ForeFlight and Boeing to really consider an Australian local business like that is a success story. And to say nothing of the fact that we consider Baz a real good friend of ours, and we're just really happy for them. So great news.
I agree. And also, as Baz said, 2 of the 5 best EFB applications out there are from Australia. And I think that's fantastic. And I know that their competitors are really good. They've got a good product. And I think it's great that Australia is batting above its average to have actually 2 world-class products out there.
Well, that's everything we have for you on this edition of Plane Crazy Down Under, a very special edition, and really great to get the exclusive on this one, to use the media term. This is the first place you will have heard an interview with anyone from OzRunways about this, so we're really thrilled that Baz chose to come on and talk about that acquisition by ForeFlight and Boeing of OzRunways. So, as he said, nothing to worry about if you're a customer. The product will still be in place. If you've got any concerns, if you've got any questions, I'm sure you can get in contact with them at ozrunways.com, and I'm sure they'll get back to you at any time. But until we talk to you the next time, I'm Steve Vischer on behalf of Grant McCarran, wishing you very safe flying, folks, particularly with OzRunways and ForeFlight, I guess. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Find show notes for this episode, along with our contact details and a full back catalogue of shows, at planecrazydownunder.com. Drop us a line anytime with feedback, story suggestions or advertising inquiries. We'd love to hear from you. Title music is You Name It by Brian Simpson. Plane Crazy Down Under is a Southern Skies media production.
Southern Skies Media.